Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and we have some really promising news. Remember, Rivera said a few days ago, sometime last week, that we may get a good indication if Curtis Samuel should be ready for week 1 or not by Monday. Monday's here, and Curtis Samuel looks like a little something, a little bit. It's very encouraging. I'm very optimistic about his chances of playing week 1 and being a full go. We have to dive into all of that. And I'm gonna show y'all clips from the practice. But before we do that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, as usual, make sure you check out the rest of the channel. All of my videos are organized in playlists. I even have a comedy playlist for all of my funny videos. Been very busy lately, but I'm trying to push out as much content as possible and get these fantasy drafts going before we get to this game on Sunday. So stay tuned. Let's get it. Alright, so Curtis Samuel was in pads and participating during the early viewing period in practice today. Remember, media can only be there for like the first 15 minutes or so we don't get any real information out of training camp leading up to this Chargers game other than injury updates like this one. And finally, he is participating in group drills. We haven't seen him participate in 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s with somebody covering him, but he was catching passes from Fitzpatrick. He looked pretty good to me. If you don't believe me, check it out for yourself right here. Again, this is his first time participating in group drills ever. I mean, we haven't seen him since May. He hasn't even tried to run full speed, at least in the public eye, to where us fans or media have been able to see him. He literally hasn't even tried to fully sprint in the public eye since like May. So it's nice to see him out here running routes, cutting, doing everything. He doesn't look like a guy that's limited right now. Granted, I'm not exactly sure if he looks 100%. I'm not exactly sure how much crisper those routes should look compared to how he's usually looked, but he looks really good and he looks like he has a speed. And like I've said before, his entire game is predicated on his speed. I prefer for him to sit out as long as he needs to and then try to catch up to what the offense is doing and try to gain rapport and chemistry with Ryan Fitzpatrick later than to rush back from that injury, because he's all speed his whole game. I mean, the way we're going to give him the ball out of the backfield, screens, and even as a receiver, everything he does is based on speed. Now, he is an underrated route runner, but the majority of his game is speed, whereas Terry McLaurin is just as fast as Curtis Samuel, maybe even faster, but he's such a deadly route runner, one of the best route runners in the NFL. If his speed is hampered for any reason, he can still get open, I believe, and still be very useful to this offense, where again, as Curtis Samuel, even just beyond his route running, the way Scott Turner wants to use him out of the backfield as a utility weapon, basically a Tayvon Austin at times, he needs his speed. I do not want to even chance re-aggravating that injury, and I believe Ron Rivera, Scott Turner, and all of those guys feel the exact same way. So if he's out there practicing, I think he's good to go. I trust Rivera in his decision making that if Curtis Samuel's out there and really practicing, that means that there's a solid chance that he's really good to go, like full go basically. Because again, not only do I understand this, but I'm pretty sure they understand that Curtis Samuel has a full grasp of the offense already. All of his years in the NFL, literally other than last year, were spent under a Turner system. His entire career up to the point of last year, Ron Rivera was his head coach. His entire career, Marty Hurney's been with him. we signed Curtis Samuel this offseason. Marty Hurney came over as well. So he knows how everything works from top to bottom, not even just on the field, but off the field as far as the Brigham and Go organization goes, because of Ron Rivera, Marty Hurney, Scott Turner, and all of those things. And a lot of the positional coaches as well. So him figuring out how to integrate himself into the offense and where he belongs, I'm not worried about it. Because even on top of that, the receivers he's playing with, Terry McLaurin is probably one of his best friends of life. I mean, they were literally college dorm roommates at Ohio State. So it's not even like Terry McLaurin doesn't know how to work with a Curtis Samuel. When Curtis Samuel comes in, Terry McLaurin doesn't know exactly where he should be, what he should do, when he should do it in retrospect of where Curtis Samuel is. No, their chemistry is unmatched as well in the receiving group. These guys have played together before. They've studied together. I mean, at some point this offseason, Curtis Samuel lived with Terry McLaurin so that they could go through the playbook and all of that type of stuff. So it's not like Curtis Samuel returning will just throw Terry McLaurin off. If anything, it's just going to make him more open when defenses have to worry about him. So I'm really optimistic about this whole Curtis Samuel situation. Maybe I'm too optimistic, but I think he's ready to go. Before today, I was worried. I didn't feel like it was doomsday. Because again, I was prepared to go into week 1 without Curtis Samuel if we had to. And thank goodness William Jackson is a full go. Because if he wasn't and Curtis Samuel wasn't, our free agency haul was going to look a little ugly. I'm not going to lie. But now that it looks like that both of them are full go, again, William Jackson is ahead of Curtis Samuel as far as returning from injury. He's really good to go. We know he's ready week 1. Curtis Samuel, I'm still very optimistic, but it's not like we know for 100% he's going to be ready week 1. And John Comm even said it today that the Washington football team has just been making sure with his groin injury. They don't want to make sure that he's just coming back halfway healed and that he can end up re-aggravating the injury against the Chargers. I'm assuming he's out there because there's no real potent threat of that happening. He must be mostly healed up, if not almost all the way. And that's what John Comm basically expounded upon, saying that he's basically been healthy enough to run if you wanted him to, but they've been holding them back because they don't want those future problems to happen. The re-aggravation of the groin injury, things like that. So that's why he's been out this long. He technically has been able to run if you needed him to run a route, if you needed him to catch a pass. And technically, if this were like the playoffs and we needed him to play, he probably would have already been ready to play even since like maybe last week or something. But again, deciding on the air of caution in a big way. I mean, they're going big time caution. Also, while I have y'all attention, there was a report that NFL coaches and execs are nervous about the COVID-19 testing today, with a lot of NFL players visiting their former college teams opening games and social gatherings this past week. But after COVID testing, every single person on Washington's active roster was at practice today, again, including Curtis Samuel. So we do not have a COVID scare. We got ours out of the way very early, and the Cowboys are going through it right now. And then lastly, John Comm expounded upon the Eddie Pinheiro signing, the kicker that was on the Colts preseason squad just a week ago. And he basically said that we signed him to the practice squad more so as like a just in case Dustin Hopkins gets COVID type of thing. You don't want it to be Friday and for some odd reason, somehow Dustin Hopkins is out due to COVID protocol, whether he has it or some type of contact tracing, whatever. And now you're just out here struggling to look for a kicker. Instead, you already have Eddie Pinheiro on the practice squad. You can just activate him. But of course, like many of us hope, John Comm also addressed the fact that he could be here for competition and could even potentially replace Dustin Hopkins if he comes out here starting very ugly. Rivera has given his full faith and commitment to Dustin Hopkins and is basically putting his name on the line like, hey, all of these people are mad at you. They want you out of the game. They don't want you on the team. And I'm out here sticking my neck for you and saying I believe in you 100% and we're going to stay with you. So you better go out there and prove me right, because we have a guy right here that can take your place. So at the very least, Eddie Pinheiro is just backup for in case Dustin Hopkins can't play a game, whether it be injury, COVID, whatever. He's also there for competition, and he's a potential replacement if Dustin Hopkins is out there messing up like he tends to do in the beginning of seasons. With this schedule, we cannot afford for a typical Dustin Hopkins season where he's ugly in the beginning and then catches fire late. Remember, he was a top 8 kicker the last 6 games of the NFL season last year. But he finished throughout the season like 25th, and that's just how bad he was the first 10 games. He was so bad the first 10 games that even though he was the 8th best kicker in the NFL the last 6 games, he still finished 25th. We literally can't afford that. the middle of our schedule is the hardest part of our schedule. The last part of our schedule against all those NFC East opponents, those last 5 games, is probably the easiest stretch of our schedule, to be honest. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Again, I'm very optimistic about Curtis Samuel not only playing against the Chargers, but being a full go, a strong part in the offense, getting targets in the passing game and carries out of the backfield, screens or whatever. I'm very confident in that. And Rivera has also expressed serious optimism towards it as well. He's always been calm and collected these past couple of months, and then this past week the tone went from calm and don't worry to like truly optimistic. So if Ron Rivera's optimistic, I am as well, and being able to see him out there running routes and catching passes helps a lot. And Rivera even said in a press conference, just to help calm some of our nerves, he said that Curtis Samuel will not play against the Chargers unless he's 100% game ready. So even if he's very ready, but not all the way ready, again, they don't want to re-aggravate his injury, he will not play. So if Curtis Samuel's out there against the Chargers, you should pretty much know that he's a full go. Again, he wasn't necessarily full speed today, but he looked like if we had to play today, he could still be a deadly second option to Terry McLaurin. But yeah, man, definitely get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please like this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. As always, man, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And of course, big shouts out to everybody that donates to the channel, and a special shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors whose name you see scrolling on the screen right now. Man, I really appreciate all y'all. Catch y'all later. I'm out.